you already know, we're back with episode 3 of the Clean EK hatchback project. This episode, I would like to finish the entire quarter panel. We're going to stitch weld or tack weld the entire perimeter and get that completely squared up. On our second project of the day, I want to take care of that floorboard. Yes, it is very bad. On that note, I bought tools to accommodate taking care of said floorboards. The hardest part with a floorboard, it's not a flat piece of steel, so I ordered a bead roller off of eBay so that we can try and make some of those body lines and make it more rigid. On top of that, I bought a V-Vor 36-inch brake so that we can fold the edges up entirely along the way. You guys have watched me do it with the vise and the hammer trick. This should knock it out in 10 seconds rather than 10 minutes. But yes, the plan is to take care of the hardest patch job on the entire project, the floorboards. We're gonna jump straight into it. We're gonna finish the quarter panel. So this is basically the most boring part of the entire project. I'm going along and just tack welding the absolute shenanigans out of this. So I could literally put 20 minutes of time-lapse footage of me doing that over and over, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. We'll come back when I'm ready to just grind it all flat. But basically we're gonna get this ready for Duraglass. I'm not saying that it's done, so don't take that the wrong way. But that is probably as far as I can go with a grinding disc until we hammer and dolly out any imperfections this way. I don't even know how to show it on camera other than me laying a coat of primer and then hitting this with like a DA or a block. There are so many highs and lows to this entire panel right now from welding it. Because every time you weld it, heat makes metal expand. So it will push away, and what that does is creates a high spot, and then anywhere that it is cool, if you weld it while it's cold, so every time you let it cool off, you are creating low spots. No matter how you do this, you will always have warpage, so there is no really going around that. We're talking minor imperfections here too. We're talking the thicknesses of, you know, maybe a couple sheets of paper at the most. So these are all minor imperfections, but you can definitely feel them with your hand. The normal at-home guy, he's ready for Duraglass. You just go ahead and hammer out any super high spots and then lay your filler and you'd be done. We don't have warpage to the point that this is like clunk, 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 clunk. So reality is it's ready to be finished, but that's not good enough for what we are doing here on the channel. I'm not done with the quarter panel, but for the video's sake of us actually doing the floorboard, I'm going to pause on this. We have a great foundation. I knocked down some of the highs. I went ahead, hit it with the grinder one more time, and I ran over it with some more primer. This is going to sit for the meantime. I will come back to this when we start doing body work on the actual car. So this shouldn't rust now that it has primer on it, and it's not going anywhere. So it's not like I can just not do it. But for the meantime, that is the final product for a quarter panel installation. But the floorboard, in my opinion, although it doesn't need to look as good, is going to take 3 times as much work to actually complete. We're gonna jump over and take care of that. As discussed, the big plan is to take care of the floor pan on the driver's side. I'm going to cut it from the A pillar all the way back to essentially the B pillar and replace all of it. I'm going to do it in 2 pieces though to make it more manageable. Judge it how you want to. I think the plan is going to be to tip it up on side, take care of literally all the sound deadener, let it all fall on the ground, whatever, and then trim it out. I do need to take all of these panels and like the frame rail section completely off the car so I can reattach it when I'm done or remake the pieces. I have a feeling that so many people are going to be curious of this whole situation because this is a notorious and very common issue in the northern states, including Canada. So first things first, get it on the side. JJ talked about it already. Using the impact. I would also like to note on top of this that I have ran Carrot Top Tuning's harnesses in the past, which is one of the reasons I reached out to them in collaboration for this project. I do believe that this is helpful in context of having a clean engine bay. What an absolute nightmare. Yes, coming into it, I knew that this was going to be a major, major project. But I didn't, as always, I didn't expect it to take 3 times longer than I anticipated. Anyway, huge disaster. We got all the braces out. The floor is detached on the outside of the frame rail. And I use frame rail because yes, it does go full length, a C-channel shaped brace on the bottom of the car. Literally goes from the fuel tank area all the way up and ties into where your front rails stub into the car. So if that isn't a frame rail, whatever. I do need to drill the inside, which is behind this piece of detonator. Unlike this flaky actual sound detonator piece, this stuff is like rubber. And I don't know if I should try the aerosol can upside down or spend 30 minutes taking off that little chunk, but either way it needs to be removed. It's the next morning. We're getting ready to cut the entire floorboard out of this thing. But first I want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors. Carrot Top Tuning, Downstar, Hasport, JDI, Max Speeding Rods, and Whistler Wheels. With the help of the sponsors and the thousands of dollars that I've put into the project, I'm gonna make this thing mint. You already know that. Just a little bit of a closer look. Obviously, okay, so this is all dust, but I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna drill out a couple spot welds. I'm gonna cut this at the thinnest points here so I can weld it back in. This is where your like resting foot peg goes here next to your clutch pedal. And then I want to do a straight shot across. There's structural, like a second piece back here. You can see the spot welds. So I'm going to try and run it out to match up with that. It comes back into the frame rail here. There's a layer here. So this is the floorboard that I just removed. Still need to trim that out. And I'm going to run down the other side of this frame rail. And that basically matches up, same spacing with this, all the way back until you get to this point. This is where your seat rail would have been. So I'll go straight shot back. You can literally feel most everything back here. So I'm going to keep it straight, mainly because these spot welds are what held that rail in. So I'm assuming they go all the way through the car, holding it to the outside. So supported areas, kick it up. I drilled all the way through by accident, but I'm going to try and go straight shot back. And then same thing, this metal overlaps a little bit. So from the bottom of the car, I'm going to remove the floor pan. I'm going to keep this section. This is obviously an entirely different piece. This all needs replaced. This is where the toe set is. There's a whole lot of rot going on here. I think the outer side is good except here. So probably going to do a chunk and utilize my seat belt mounting bracket in here to support that patch. But yeah, it is definitely not a light duty job by any means. I went ahead and drilled out every spot weld that I could find. I still have a bunch in here to take care of. We're gonna have a patch here to take care of all this pitted metal. We have a hole, obviously. I'm gonna patch this section, and I have to take care of this. This is a very odd section though, because technically this is a different piece of metal than this. So there is a overlap seam here, but I'm probably gonna run it from underneath this box here past the rust and take care of this entire section in one piece. Then I have to take care of this and a little piece of, I guess, normal metal, flat sheet basically on the backside here. I'm really debating doing the floor pan in one piece just because I have the ability to do so. But first and foremost, we're gonna remove this sheet metal, and we're gonna start, doing the patchwork. We have another bee's nest, I think. Mouse nest? What the heck? That is disgusting. Out of all the places though. This is gonna be the Max Speeding Rods unboxing. I told Max Speeding Rods to send me the base models, and they requested to send me T6s, which I have no problem with the T6 on a stock application, but I much rather have the T7 coilovers. T7s are considered a racing application coilover. These come with a higher K rating, powder coated bodies, larger, strut rod diameter, basically making these the King Doleon of coilovers. I'd have to say it's pretty obvious here that I keep jumping around, and that's so that I can let this cool, still be a little productive. I'm making up this piece. So as I start welding this piece in, I'll probably start making the next one. I don't think it's gonna hurt the video per se, but just letting you guys know that's the reason why the video is cut back and forth, and I think that it makes more sense because it's probably what you would do in a regular shop, just try and utilize your time. So I'm gonna bead roll the next piece and get it tack welded in. I know it's time consuming, but man, is that worth it or what? It's so much smoother. Currently waiting for this to cool off. I'll go ahead and start bending up one of the two patch panels that have to go here. Mind you, we still have this box and we have this plate. And this massive plate here prior to the floorboard. That being said, probably gonna speed things up just a little bit here. Probably not gonna show much of this at all, just because there really isn't a whole lot to change from here to there to there. Slow down the speed again when we get to this area. I've been at this would be the third day straight, like at least an 8-hour day. Hate to break it to you. In the midst of this, I went to cut out this piece. You can even see it in the video. I switched to a grinder instead of using my air snips. I air snipped the first panel. It went really smooth. It was great. I came in here. I went to use new tools that I bought. I bought this not for the crimper, but for the hole punch because I had to drill all the quarter panel holes by hand. I got here, I went to test it out. It didn't work. I thought the tool was garbage, whatever. I started doing this panel. The snips don't work. Realized the air compressor had a issue. Made a couple phone calls. Guy came out, serviced it. I started drawing out this third patch panel. He called me back to let me know everything was taken care of with that. The entire suppression system for the building runs off that air compressor. So I went through and checked every single one of the six suppression systems in the building, made sure that they were all good. But by the time I got back in here, I had to go get my daughter from school. So days cut short this weekend, got a lot of stuff going on. I need to edit this video for y'all to see. So unfortunately, that wraps up the video. On that note, if y'all would, check out the merch link in the bio. The links will be down there for all of our sponsorships. You should really check them out. I love you guys. Appreciate the support. Comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends.